enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. And with that kind of what we call bodhicitta motivation, that we should all participate in this teaching. Generally speaking, I think we can talk about five, what we call, literally translating, five subjects or fields of knowledge in the world. So what are the five fields of knowledge, Rigna in Tibetan, that we are talking about? They are, just to list them first, we can talk about field of knowledge of healing or medicine. We can talk about the field of knowledge of arts and crafts. We can talk about what we call Nangden Rigpa, the inner logic or the inner philosophy, which basically this is where mostly we talk about in Buddhist philosophy and Buddhism. We can talk about field of knowledge in terms of metaphysics or logic. And we can talk about the field of knowledge in terms of the language and grammar. So these are the fields, five fields of knowledge we can talk about. Of these five fields of knowledge, the one which we are dealing with and which is, in a sense, personally relevant, if you will, is that of what we call Nangden Rigpa, science of the inner knowledge or the knowledge about inner reality. Why is that so important for each of us is because methods or practices or the means with which we can subdue our mind, those methods become really very important to us. No. The other four fields of knowledge, such as medicine or the metaphysics and others, they are somewhat what we call dependent upon. Of course, that needs explanation on the knowledge of inner reality, or to be simple, on Buddhism. What I think Geshe is trying to get here is, there is a connection or association between the five fields of knowledge. And otherwise, often what seems to be happening is people who say that I am interested in Buddhism or the knowledge of inner reality or the science of mind, the Tibetan word term is Nangten Rigpa, they feel like as if that is just an isolated field of knowledge in itself, as if it has no connection or relationship with other fields of knowledge. But that's not the case. All the fields of knowledge are, related in some way to one another, particularly the knowledge of inner reality.
That country is in Maranta to no doing Maranta, they do in Chagers. They do in the Dewatan and they do him Sata, here with the Koreans that take Samalo. The side of a younger son, Sambuton younger was.
Why is the knowledge of inner reality or Buddhism very important to us? There could be many reasons, but one of which is that we experience what called happiness and suffering, or pleasures and unpleasures. And these feelings which we experience or which we go through, they arise within our mind. So that's why mind is a very important thing to be studied and to be understood. Mind is, forerunner of all our actions. We can, think of all the things we have planned to do, this year, or this particular month, or this particular week, or this particular day. And so most of the things that we do involve physical and verbal actions. But the physical and verbal actions, where do they come from? What initiates them, if you will? Then we know that mind is forerunner of all our body and speech actions. So in that sense also, the mind is a primary factor or a phenomenon that needs to be investigated and that needs to be understood. So we can all investigate, and we should, as a matter of fact, is there anything that we do physically and verbally which has nothing to do with our state of mind? Okay, is there anything that we can, bodily do or verbally do that has nothing to do with, our mind?
Mechanic. That Korean Song Jenkin, Korean, the simple Matupachi, Chan the Shawachi, Shiachi, Yamars, you meet the tactician Hakokuris.
So, as you heard Geshe use the words, like mechanics or whatever professions that we are involved in, such as mechanics or, business, or that, music, and arts and crafts, whatever that, we are doing, is that something that has no relationship or association with our, state of mind? And, Geshe think, it couldn't be. All the things that we do are, related with our way of thinking and our state of mind.
Teaching democracy, human rights, everything, environment to be good. Everything, whatever we, good or bad things, whatever we did or does. The same thing there is.
So we can talk about the political ideologies like democracy or whatever, and so all the things that we do, as Geshe is trying to say, is everything has it originates from our mind and it has a relationship with our state of mind.
So that same example, that same
So if mind is a key player in all these things we do, well, then it is really important that the mind should be in a good state, in a positive state, because it runs the whole show.
So the thing is that the same day, ran the same Madu Doyakata, Shawala Chambati Cage which was.
And it is in this regard that it's really important for us to learn about the techniques or the methods or the practices to transform our mind into positive and to subdue our mind. To work with our negative state of mind and, get rid of them. Because if our mind is in a positive state, then, as Geshe was giving all these different examples, the whole show will become really positive show, I think. If the mind is in a different state, then all the things we do could become, the same thing.
That can take any sense Zambo Zoya Keta, Tap the ten, Dajak Temperature, Sanjit Kamdin, Tani, Tilani, Nampe, Chusing.
And so all the things taught by historical teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, which are all together referred to as Buddhism or Buddha Dharma or science of the mind or whatever, but basically, all the things Buddha taught are nothing but the means or the methods with which we could use to make our mind better, to transform our mind.
So that Maranchol Chin the Gange, Chin Dilta, Chin the Susiani Tape Tasakzon Chagger, Courage, Chin Dil Shawal Lipi, Gabo the Kibo, the devil, the courage, Tash Lipi, so courage Shumba the same Zambola in Shumba but the Hakogres.
I think many things that we do in this lifetime, as a matter of fact, this life experiences could be good, indicators of what I'm talking about, that all the things that are going well with us, in terms of maybe, things running smoothly, we have whatever amount of happiness or pleasure or peace or harmony and all the things just going the way we want to. I think all of, if we really examine them, those things are, due to the positive way of thinking and positive state of mind.
Dunge tap Munde Beri Chijun Kandechi in a Tentu Samalota, round the same Miguel, same Marumba Kiltini, and Shomadi but Hebres.
And all the things go wrong in our life, that we don't succeed in what we do, that we run into all kinds of troubles that we don't want to, that life really, pretty much, sucks at every end and corner of life, has, I think, to do with, negative way of thinking and negative, state of mind. So what we're really basically talking about here is if our mind is negative, it is unruly, it is wild and crazy in a negative sense, then a lot of the experiences that we go through are negative, traumatic, all this anxiety provoking and all of that, all of the above.
That Anderson Tare, Nikam Dylan around Sultap, took up some huge rivalries. Kare is not to Kare. Same Yambati to Zambo Zoya to cook Zambo Huit on the radio race. Just thinking about the Marzo to be race.
But we also need to realize that at the moment we have found this wonderful opportunity to be able to affect our mind, our way of thinking, that if our mind is in a negative state, there's something we can do about it. That it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be in that particular state. There are ways or means with which we can change the negative state of mind into positive state of mind. So that's why it's so important for us to learn about the methods to bring about positive inner transformation, positive way of thinking.
And that Jinse Mambotic Tawne, and it Susi, and same that Migivi, Shawnee, to Dawne, gave for time rage, didn't drag the top to carriage, and that Narazologium of Chibu, and theatre was.
Of course, it's not something that we have to blindly believe in, that negative mind can be changed into positive mind by certain method X, Y, Z. But such things are grounded in a good rationale, valid reasonings, So we need to basically educate ourselves in the ways and the means with which we can affect our way of thinking. We can, change the negative way of thinking and cultivate a positive state of mind.
That any took Maris some geometry two years. Karayasana saying empathy any Karasa Tawa then the tradition round the same empathy same gay Jikel need your mato Kora Maranzo same Jin radio Maris.
We must also be able to see the possibility that negative state of mind can be changed into positive state of mind. But do not in somewhere get locked in a very sort of a pessimistic, negative state of mind, like, oh my God, that can't be done. I can't do it. Sort of thing. And undermine our own abilities. Because the fact of the matter is that negative thoughts which arise in our mind, they are temporarily there. You see, they are not there for permanent, and they are, as a matter of fact, not in the very nature of our mind. Okay, they are just kind of sort of like they manifest on the surface of our mind, and they're there for a while, and then they are not there for a while. What that really tells us is that we could affect our state of mind, and we can change it, positively.
Just saying that may give you sympathy. Guela Chavitamana each other. Guela Chavitamana each other. Guela Chavitamana and those passe in the two in the journey. Guelcom have a chagman was called Deg was.
In other words, that what I'm trying to get across to you here is that the negative thoughts or negativities in our mind are not the one and the same thing as our own state of mind. Okay, they are different, and they could be separated from one another. And we really need to be able to see that possibility, because that is where the hope is, that is where the success lies. And one of the examples that we often use here is, it's just like, our mind got dirty, like our clothes we wear for a while and they need to be washed. Okay, the dirts and the stains of our clothes are not one and the same thing. That's why we do laundry, right? We don't do laundry to lose the clothes. We just do laundry to wash the dirt and we get back the clean clothes. So like that, we, purify our mind of negativities, and then what we really get in return, if we think, is the pure state of mind, is a positive state of mind.
Tati, Boba Chimbering on it, some on the Korea, Anita, and Sanji. Compassion and Menduta, then the Sat Temple and Nading that Trim Mambund was holy Mamboy was. The Samalo Tambong Ranson nice chadivers. That Rembear ambition, Rembear ambition for Tuxini, Senator with Tomato Passing, and any image that Samaya with chance and then Holy Rivers, that Sanji Comatobis.
And, we can be very confident about that we could separate the negativities from our state of mind, and we can change our mind into something positive. And so we have many great examples, and all the beings we respect. We call them sublime beings or the holy beings and all of that. While to begin with, they were not born holy, so to speak. There was a time, if you look back in their lives, they were just an ordinary person like us, equally deluded, maybe equally crazy and whatnot. But what happened was, they made a decision to affect their way of thinking, change their way of thinking. And they followed the path and practices to change their mind into something positive and improve their state of mind. And going through that whole process, there is whole developments which took place, and they progress on what we call spiritual paths and spiritual grounds. So the higher the spiritual paths and grounds, the holier they are, or the more holy they are. Okay, and why are they holy? Why are they realized? And why their life is much better? Because they brought about positive changes in their life. And because they could do it, that also indicates that we could do the same thing. Okay, that gives us also the hope. And basically, maybe if we can think in terms of differences between ourselves and these holy beings on different levels of realizations, their mind, relatively speaking, has less negativities. Perhaps some of them even don't have at all. All those who do have, they have, much less negativities than we do in our mind, because they worked with their mind and they got rid of a lot of negativities from within their mind. And we could do the same thing as we follow this gradual path of purifying our mind of negativities and cultivating positive way of thinking and positive qualities.
타바자 tenjichepe gomba toji yabate junsen ta ane ate junsen ta ane pe yanda mabate ani kuba usutne remendu was reya mares jesa marancho tabaja tenjichepe gomba toji yabate junsen ta demba ane te junsen sa maimbe ane ta pe ane ta yanda ba chen ndishine toni hingin do wasta desam tongres.
So what I'm trying to get across to you here is this, that we are striving for nirvana or liberation from samsara or single existence. We are striving for complete enlightened state, for our own sake and for the sake of all other beings. And all those goals are achievable. We could achieve them. They are not some kind of a fantasy goals we have set for ourselves. And they could be achieved. And if we study the whole structure of the path and the possibilities that we have, that some of the things I'm just trying to talk about, that we can change our mind into positive, that we can separate the negativities from our state of mind. So all these things provide us the reasons and the grounds to believe in the effectiveness of what we are doing. If we follow certain path and practice, this will help us to improve ourselves, and as we improve ourselves more and more, we are getting closer and closer to liberation, closer and closer to complete enlightened state. So these are not some kind of a conjectures and a fantasy world kind of a, Geshe didn't say that, but probably he wouldn't mind. It's a Disney world we created. It's not. It is, based upon sound reasoning and methodology and and the complete structure of the path.
No, that and it is so that Tangaranzo Churchinia Churchinia the Tanda here, Kidris, Church Tanda here, Kidris, Tanda here at the Yamslanguris, Yamslan, Ranjuli Bijabat Tane, Nimakilta, and the Tabe Compatores.
So as I often emphasize the importance of education, spiritual education in our life, that's where all things begin, if you will. That in order to practice spirituality, in order to bring about positive changes within ourselves, first we need to educate ourselves, in terms of how can we do that? What are the means or the methods to do that? So coming here together is, traditionally called study, or this is, in a modern sense, is going through education. And so education, its objective is to learn about the paths and practices. So once we learn about them, of course, the next level and more important part is to adopt the paths and practices, or to cultivate them within our mind, and it is through practice that we are able to transform ourselves into better and better human being.
That kasi churang yama tan den tsingi lo ane ta ka de ma samne kasan de hyubi na gewe kenyi je cho chang la go yin se ta rang ke ngone to rang la lam tenki ke ta gewe kenyi de ranju ki nyeba kare na de nyeba yeba de nyeba den do sin su de ne a de le ne pe 그다 challenge 이래 다 같이 자야 그 년부 때야 그다 답변이 있들 아니 계신 초스기 그래서
going back to where we left off last week, and some of the things Geshe explained is the best spiritual guide or a spiritual mentor, guru or lama in Tibetan is one who brings out one's own mistakes, or the way we put it is like who pinpoint our weaknesses, where we need to grow, Okay, so that kind of teacher is considered as the best kind of spiritual teacher. So what such spiritual teachers do is that they would point at all the weaknesses and mistakes that we're making, then also provide us the antidotes to correct ourselves or to counteract our negativities. And those are the what we call the exemplary, if you will, spiritual mentors.
다 보면 알아서 넘어가 줄라 내가 가르는 내가 처럼 된 도와 뜻이 문도 뜻이는 쉬는데 요르신 저 쉬는데 저 때네 어때파 뭐야 다 템바데 다 이긴 쇼츠가 차거레스
In other words, what we're talking about here is, exemplary or the, best of the spiritual mentors. What they would do is they would tell honestly to their students or the disciples that, this is where your thinking is gone wrong. Okay, this is where, the way you are thinking is negative, it is diluted, and this is what you need to get rid of, and this is the methods or the antidotes with which you can bring about the changes, within yourself.
다 네바 요나야 네바 그 지금 말에 안능에 처럼 로과 쉐고세야 드니 생각이 저 말때 유연한테 천지가 말했대.
And I don't think there would be such spiritual mentors who would say this kind of stuff, that, if they see that the students are gone wrong in terms of their actions or way of thinking, whatever, they say, that's all right, I'll just give it a blessing and you should be fine. Well, that doesn't work that way, and shouldn't be saying that, I'll bless you in some mysterious way and you are just, fine, become a fine human being. No. And I don't think there would be teachers saying that. No.
Sheng toll be so so in those man in the journey, train in the journey, that rank share the be poyakita, duna. That day any that round danga culture of chagres, our that day, be so soon non treat the hak gone, there no in but the hak gone, that the bango do somebody showina, that the danga chagres.
So best teachers are those who are honest in telling their students or disciples where, they are not doing the things properly and where they're doing the things, correctly. And of course, the best instruction, we would say, Dhamma, or the advice or teaching, is again, telling the students where they really need to improve themselves. So metaphorically speaking, this is what we call hitting the target. The target is set up there in the student's mind where things need to be changed and improved. And here the instruction or the advice or the teaching is given which really hits the target, right the dot, on the dot. Say, this is what, should happen,
No. That didn't do it. That deal that draw the choice, temper the he is draw say at it. Still not draw say at the Dhamma New was. Draw younger, big bit trouble younger.
And the best friends are mindfulness and introspection. Of course, we can talk about friends in two different ways: good friends and the bad friends, or the spiritual friends in the sense of positive who influence us positively, or evil friends, who bless us in a negative way,
So that Maranso draw things not draw say at the round, be pentoshing it in a was.
Friends are those, who, who are supportive and who help us, when we need their help.
So that round and pentoshing it, Karizan that round pay. Don't he pass save it top down. So, and the little sort of around to Yaka, the nigger robashing it in Donata, tell it that draw Zambo cigarettes.
Good friends are those who stand by us at the time of difficulties, who provide us help to deal with issues and difficulties, and if they have the ability to solve our problems, they do that, and who basically, help us to refrain from doing the wrong things and negativities and keep us on the track of doing the positive and the beneficial and good things.
다 조금만 생기는 최제 팀들 최제 팀다 아니 롱배 팀 여러 니 여러 봤어. 다 딩이 단계와 아니 랑데시 밀다 랑기 엔드 딩 팀 최제 팀 단계와 다 롱배 팀 단계야 그다 딩이 그 수수 럽된 생기 누나 다티 조금만 차고 그랬어. 딜린 롱리시 죠 말이야.
Bad friends are those who, how should I say, make us break the laws and rules of the country, or like from spiritual point of view, who make us break our vows and commitments and do all kinds of unethical things. So such people who make us do those things or influence us negatively in such way, those are what we considered bad friends.
So that
of course, if we keep ourselves in the company of good friends, then I think things will work better for us.
Can you say no, stay in the chat and you said it just. No. You told in the chat and toes.
Tibetans have a saying, I don't know how it works in my translation at least, but it's the metaphors which says that if you are going to lean on, so to speak, a gold mountain, then there's a hope that some of the gold might just, pieces might get onto your body and you get some pieces of gold. But if you kind of stick your head or into poisonous plants, then what you get is a poison. It's time to die, I think. No, poison oak. So this is like, how we have to be careful when we go for a walk or some in the forest that we don't get into poison oak, right? And so that's kind of thing we're talking about here. So what is being said here is that, of course, in terms of spiritual developments and being spiritually positive, our best friends are just two: mindfulness and introspection. Mindfulness is a state of mind. As a matter of fact, it is a mental factor. That enables us to stay on whatever the thing we are doing. So, in terms of meditation, mindfulness helps us to keep our mind, focused on our object of meditation. And it doesn't let go the object of meditation. That's why we are connected with the object of meditation. We are staying with it. Our mind is not distracted because we are being mindful of what we are meditating on.
And then that's ranke luta ngani buti dibal megi ishulun roshe dini tele chu done ta ane dele done ane gave shul chonroyak tzu.
And if our mind, as we are meditating on a positive thing, if our mind is getting distracted, towards things that shouldn't be following, like whatever the distractions, maybe some physical noises is there or some kind of sound, then we have to bring our mind back to our object of meditation.
That temper say I think same here what does.
Mindfulness serves two functions, if you will, or two purposes. One is Sem Shiva. It makes our mind, I'm literally translating here, peaceful, Shiva. And Sem Dulva, it subdues our mind. So it has those two functions, making our mind peaceful and subdued.
Dulva say the person Sem Nantole Mabatan, Sem Nanto Mavitatan Dunzili.
No. Subdued in the sense of how our mind, it does not follow distractions, distracted thoughts. it doesn't follow after the hustle and bustle kind of life. It just kind of stays subdued within its own parameters, stay focused on the object of meditation.
다 템바든 좀 보시다. 아니 다 희이세데. 희이생에 다 샤라싱이잖아요. 그러니까 아니 세미게 유술은 도구들나 주게 유술을 주야다. 아니 다 란줄 아니 녀모 버때 서드셰긴 도다면도 딱제 생고서 차고요. 다 등에 봐도 그거야.
So mindfulness enables us to stay focused on our object of meditation, and introspection helps us to find out whether our mind is staying on the object of meditation or whether it is being distracted by something else. So introspection is like a spy. It's just spying on the mind, and to find out whether any particular kind of a delusion or negative afflictive emotion is arising in our mind, disturbing us, then it catches that. It's a spy. It should notice that. Or that our mind is really not meditating, but now it is wandering elsewhere, then the introspection should tell us that, so that we can bring our mind back, to ourselves and to put it on the object of meditation.
희인게 샤라시니 샤라크레세고서는 다 거바다 신화니 뭐 신거이부터 연구 도담도 란줄 검진산 레주모죠 딱지신게 들어서
when we are doing meditation, introspection should tell us two things: whether our mind is being distracted by excitement, okay, or that our mind is affected by what we call laxity. Laxity and excitement, or mental dullness and mental agitation, these are two other terms used, are the obstacles in meditation. So introspection should tell us, this spy should inform us whether our mind in meditation is affected negatively by laxity and excitement. And for details, you can refer to Lamrim treatises. Lamrim is a Tibetan term meaning stages of the path, and there is a whole genre of Tibetan Buddhist treatises or the literature called Lamrim. And if you look within the section dealing with concentration or samadhi, then you will find the details about the things I'm talking about.
아니 희 담바다 희인이 보때 란질에 맛이 탐매지다 내가도 요건 그치레스.
If we are going to do good meditation, or the meditators must, have mindfulness and introspection. Without these two good friends, you just can't handle meditation. We can't do meditation.
다 된데 보지. 조지 초 담바다 희인이 송을다. 다 꿈에 초스. ran kuma tonki ge chod chuba sirda ane ran neba che drata geita ane nasa da ran nasa yongata ran dunghe yongata su changmalu da ran kuja tonki ge ta chod chuba che restan.
Now, who are or what are the best motivators? Kultatang, the one who motivates us to do our practice. There is a whole range of things here. Our enemies, all kinds of sicknesses, all kinds of obstacles we face in our life. And so these are good motivators. They really motivate us to do our practice.
Yeah, then it's samalo. Shitani chicken ko dubar bas. Yena ya ran pento chembu jinke chade resta.
In a conventional sense, these are not good stuff or good things, right? Who wants enemies and who wants obstacles in life? Who wants sicknesses? But from some other perspective, looking at these things, they do play, some good roles. They could motivate us in a positive way.
So ta tenju rana mende perik tenju chamalo yundi chani ta sano toy karesna ta cheu to sang tong
So when we run into all these obstacles and sicknesses and pains and troubles and all the things we go through, enemies, then this should really help us to think about our spirituality, because spirituality provides us the ways and the means to really deal with them and finally to really get rid of them. So true practitioners, who have trained their mind in a right way, when the misfortunes befall them, it's almost time to say, as Geshe was almost trying to demonstrate, that they fold their hands and say, thank you very much. Just come on. Just come on me. I'm just ready. So. Okay, so you just don't say thank you out of blue, right? There should be certain context, and it's almost like you engage in interpersonal communication here. Said, you're just talking to the sicknesses, obstacles, and XYZ. Said, it's very nice that you came to me, then otherwise I would have lost myself completely in doing other stuff and I wouldn't remember spirituality or Dharma at all. But because of you, then now I become very aware of my spirituality and you're really helping me to transform myself into better and better. So therefore, now we know, you see, we can say thank you, right? Because we are benefited by this, so I thank you.
Lama Chebanan does. Mundu Dunga Chatham Burgess, Mundu Dunga the Rick Chabaton Rang Tolshumaginess, Lengan Dribsibi Jurtonis, Ranga Laying Hamba, Hema Sasembi, at Tenzuka Peta, Dribsibi Juntonis, the Reti Pam Zop never Zoyake, that G Rang Shumbati, Hakobashin, any Jangin Lamdo, Jang Hambate, any Lanzambuki. As we
find it stated very explicitly in Guru Puja, we call Lama Cheba, and Geshe quoted the lines from his memory where it says, when the unwanted pains and troubles and suffering, pour down on us like a torrential rain, we don't want that at all. May I be able to see that by my experience of all these misfortunes, that what I'm really seeing is putting an end to my negative bad karmas. You see, I'm seeing, this positive thing. So with that kind of a perception, bless me to be able to take the adverse conditions and factors into conducive factors for improvement.
Yeah. Lojo tendi magnam was. When around any pay Mende Peritan, Shundusan, Naranzo, Penna stand of the Nation and co part tire the kid. Only so Chubba P end of the day that the Nation was. That the name I was saying, the Lojo Yanation is okay. Churang and not then down with 2 years, when a control number 10, Tanto Tonk singing on with that, and reach those in Nanguya, so Maranzo that. Tendish Yagatas, same few Chambuki Radang, and cover what they yin. Lenders are shaving and Kidaka Pinji Chambu Gurbas.
The things that I'm trying to explain to you is, in some ways, seems like against the conventional wisdom and the knowledge. Usually, when troubles befall us, what do we want? We just want to solve the problems. We don't want any bad things happening to us. Nobody really wish for the bad things happening to us, because that seems like, something has gone wrong with our brain or something. Geshe didn't say that, but from the perspective of mind training, thought transformation, Lojong practice that we are talking about now, the really serious Lojong practitioners, when misfortunes befall them, you see, they really think, whatever or whoever brought these things, upon them, And what we usually do is we might, send money to do prayers in a monastery or ask our gurus to do some blessing so that, we don't have that whatever sickness we're suffering from and all that. But these practitioners are almost doing some, sending prayers and rituals doing that, thank you very much for bringing all these troubles to me, and please accept these gifts, and, if you want, bring some more troubles. Okay, and that's what exactly we find with the practitioners of mind training, like the 7-point mind training practitioners. They are so courageous and brave. Their way of thinking is like in some way unthinkable to most of us at this moment. We may not have the same courage to say, bring on all the troubles on me. But in terms of that mind training, and their practices, so they're able to do that. So maybe, hopefully, down the line, we're able to get the same kind of inspiration and learn the same kind of, technique and, courage.
That's why you just hear about your gonki in. And them halam de jagdwa, then I get you lama tuji, Majundu, the Ridonko, Maluta Dala Pimba Shos, Dag Degas, Yena Tawai, Documented them machine genus. Magin Sanger Tanjane, Dunge, Canadian around some Pimba Shos. And they rally a bit, the she Canadian to some of the Sanger Tangil Pam Pimba Shos. Sanger Tangi Devil the Tibo Yuma Shos, no, those in a Jaguar.
Those who are bent upon cultivating altruistic mind of enlightenment or bodhicitta, these are the bodhisattvas who are becoming bodhisattvas, who are bodhisattvas. They have so much courage to face difficulties, not only the difficulties, the personal difficulties, but they want to face the difficulties for the sake of the whole universe, if you like. And that's why we find very, profound prayers in many Buddhist literature, the text, and again Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, where the whole practice is focused on saying, Tena Chizun Lama Tujchen in the Guru Puja, O precious, compassionate gurus or the spiritual mentors, Manju Druve Tiri Tungake, may all the suffering and the negativities and the delusions of all mother sentient beings befall me. Just bring them on me. May all those negativities of other sentient beings, all of who are my mothers, ripen upon me, and in return, may all the good things that I have accumulated, my positive energy, positive karmas, all the positive things, go to them and bring them the happiness that they are seeking. Okay? Through this process or the practices, may all sentient beings be happy and well. Okay, so this is where, in other words, the serious practitioners of mind training are doing Tonglen practice, the practice of taking others' suffering and its causes upon themselves and giving happiness and peace and their causes to others. This is what we call exchanging self for others, you see. And it's through that mind training they get inspiration and they get that courage.
I think I can do that. Go me to okay. Doing is that top choice. Top choice, JJ Mabines. Can't tell because you need me to something. Top choice, JJ Mabba said, top say at the Nishan. When that should you say that Niji Chamber Shinata? Niji and Lucy, St. Medusani, that because you also mapper. JJ Mabba said, you did that later Monday machine, but couldn't somebody Tony. That and it's St. Pentosia that to cigarettes.
And next it says, literally translating best method. Now in this case it seems like the best attitude for me is not to have hypocrisy. In other words, that when you cultivate compassion, great compassion for all sentient beings, wishing everybody to be free from their suffering and its causes, then you're really being honest with sentient beings, and you don't play, you don't act here. You don't, put on the facade of being kind and nice and compassionate, but behind that you are something else. You don't do that. So having no hypocrisy is considered as part of having a best method or attitude.
다지 탑다 히라님보다 송제가 통상 당비는 다 나든 짐바다 자위 당지다 자위는 능도 다 등리기 아니 다 again 팬더십데 아니 탑지 choice.
Geshe feels that maybe we are able to understand this in two different ways. What does it mean, best method? Okay, upaya, Sanskrit word is tap. The one is I just explained. It could be understood in terms of the attitudes, in terms of compassion. That if you really truly cultivate great compassion for sentient beings, for that matter, great love, then you are not going to be a hypocrite. You're going to be really honest in your dealing with sentient beings. You are not going to show one face up front and then you have another attitude behind. Don't do that. But it could also be understood in terms of how integrating method and wisdom together. In other words, if we bring the bodhicitta, altruism, and the wisdom realizing emptiness together as an integrated method of wisdom and compassion or altruism, then that's the best method to cut through our self-grasping, grasping at self, grasping at phenomena.
다들이 대웅마데 펜타비 초스 아니 죄를 쥐반이스 랑게 현에 펜타야가 나니 초스바 가르스나 다 간데 있는 죄 간데 지니나 텔레메 소시파 람템바텔 아니 데 초스바레스칸 간데스킨 펜타비 초 펜타비 초 죄를 쥐반이스 쥐바세야 데 죄는 반 6 And the best help or benefit that we can bring to others is to inspire others in doing the positive things, to bring them into spirituality, bring them into doing the right thing and the positive things. So that's what we call providing the best help or the benefit. So we can, translate the Chö, Dharma, in a very broad sense, like something doing positive. Okay, it doesn't have to be confined to a particular religious denomination. In a sense, it's like if you can, whatever people believe in, maybe they believe in, believers do believe in some kind of religion or spirituality. So there's something good about that. So you inspire them to follow that. Or the non-believers might have, they believe in something positive. They don't believe in religions. So what? But they believe in doing something positive, so if we inspire them to do that, so that's what we consider as the, benefiting them in the best possible way. Tibetan term Chö is a translation of the Sanskrit term Dharma or Dhamma in Pali, but it has many shades of meaning. It is a polysemantic term, so it has many meanings, and it could also, it means spirituality, one thing, but it could also mean just a phenomenon, something that exists and has its own identity. Okay, because every phenomenon, metaphorically speaking, seems to hold its own identity, whatever its identity is. So long as a phenomenon has that identity, it exists. But when it loses identity, then it's not that phenomenon anymore. It may be something else. See? So the Dharma or the Chö, it could mean many things. In a general sense, I think when we talk about Chö in a spirituality, it doesn't matter what label is given to that. It should be something beneficial to sentient beings, and it should not bring harm to others. Okay. Rang Pentoshe, Pen Tobe, Tobe Chokaration. Chela, Ona join, you say. 所以呢，觉怕最呢，的刚才点的他觉得乱就是呢，乱的就是呢，那偏逃不了过来。
So the next one is what it really mean to that you have benefited someone, in the best possible way. Right? We could provide help to others. We try to bring benefits to others, but that's one thing. Whether they will be benefited or not is another totally different thing, right? So now we're talking about what does it mean that somebody is benefited in a best possible way. What that means is that if we can inspire someone into doing something positive, and then that really person is changed in that positive way, now stays the course, so to speak, that's what we call that person is being benefited, in the best possible way.
Voilà, tati là ne, anta jongon rom sung jes, ane kungo, kuten lo zawa tango lo zawa shi, ane rom tempa sung ke, ane jole ya kandi shiba ke, ane kandi tik shi ne, anta le mangpo shi mandus, non sung tata zawa rest.
Remember that three great disciples or the students of Indian Master Adisha asked their teacher or the guru a series of questions, and we just only looked at one particular question because they asked one question and then Adisha started to give this whole elaborate responses to them, and three disciples were Kuten, Ngorten, and Domtemba, the three great realized disciples. As a matter of fact, so we have we have completed one response to their question.
So
they asked, what is the best, path to be followed, basically. Then Adisha just comes with all this, the best of this and the best of that and the best of this, and it's just a whole, list of what does best mean in a particular context, and that's what we completed.
Drum temper, that and drum temper is any Chue Tamji Tatu Ganglas, that joy are giving.
Yes. Chue Tamji Tatu Sudukin.
Tartubat. Chue Tagan Tartubat, that took the terrorists.
And then one of the three great disciples, Dom Temba, he asked Atisha, what is ultimate Dharma?
Yes. That take a lane, that's in my shoes, the very much is among those.
And so we will go through Adisha's answer next time.
Those in a man, Naki, Chonazo, Yango Yoris, Pentoya Bachini, some of the Downton Yoris.
And I once again would like to advise you that, of course, it's very wonderful that we are able to come together like this, and I'm trying to explain as best as I could things here, and you, I'm sure you're interested and come here. And so what's also important for all of us is the things we talk about, we really need to reflect on them. We need to contemplate and analyze the things, we talk about here.
Yes.
When we talk about cultivating spirituality or being benefited by spirituality or Dharma, to use that term, we get a real benefit if there is inner transformation. So following Dharma or practicing Dharma is not like putting on some kind of costumes or an ornament. It's not the external thing that we can add onto our body, just put it on and then we look different. But practicing Dharma and being benefited Dharma really means is we have to cultivate the things we talk about and bring about inner changes, transformation.
So around the church so when we
participate in Dharma, of course, everybody involved in this, the one who teaches Dharma, the one who is listening to Dharma, and probably I'll add myself, the translator, that we have to see that our mind is really involved in Dharma. Okay, because we cannot let Dharma be separated from our state of mind, because mind must be involved in what we are doing, and there should not be gap, or as less gap as possible between the Dharma and our way of thinking.
Today is my translators here, Tenzin here. If you have questions, you can do it through this
system.
Through the air, very difficult to do it.
Go ahead.
My question is there a difference between a bad friend and an enemy?
Okay.
We use both words
Sure.
in the context of
Okay.
our teachings.
다기 개수원들이야 초봉에 봤을지 양 트라스 지송서 봐 초봉에 받다 단위 버로를 이야기 켜봐도 줘요 요마레스.
Yours. Drying trouble chang maros.
No. 초봉에 받다 소다.
Say trouble in by in just trouble maros. Trouble maros.
The Geshe says, when we talk about enemy, so enemy, of course, we cannot use the term friend, even in a good or bad sense to the enemy. Enemies are not friends, period. We can't talk about good or bad at all. They are not friends. Does that answer your question?
Gives me something to think about.
That's good.
Sometimes
Yeah, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
On the advice on the greatest nobility is subduing the mind. I'm wondering if I'm reading too much into it by saying that nobility, and I don't know in the translation, maybe there's more in the original term, but nobility in terms of being recognized by other people and your accomplishments and all this stuff, compare that with subduing the mind where you don't respond to any of the outside things. Is there that relationship? Do you think that was implied in the...
With mind, yeah.
I think you have to rephrase it. I think I must have missed something. I didn't get the complete. So, could you say one more time?
Like initially when I thought about it, was just nobility is something good, and subduing the mind.
Okay.
Or you just say like nobility is this whole ranking and people recognize you and respond to that, and then subduing the mind is the opposite of that, where you don't respond to all these things that create a nobility.
Oh, okay,
I think there's this,
okay.
That was implied originally.
Okay. 그런 디스기도 하긴 되게 가르쳐 그래. 아주 샘 뒤버서 저러 하긴 샘 뒤버서 되다 아니 그래서 노빌리티 수도 그런 게 디스기면 그래서 가서 개변 원내 걸 세스면로 시도 갈라다 배나 실로기 내다 긴 가르치면 들이야 파 겐들이야 가서 가서 있나 랜드 프로 맞아비치네 봐 소소지 랑주심 대고 세지 디스고 제가 샘 뒤버서 되다 노빌리티 세니디 동다 가까이면 손이 고든 내려야 버스고
Nobility is not correct.
How was the nobility, defined in words about the text, or, you read?
Oh.
Nobility?
Yeah.
Why is this so?
I just saw in the small booklet,
Okay.
the highest nobility. I don't know the word that you use.
Oh, I see. Kevin and the short Yuvadi and the same did the working. Okay, here's I'm reading. The highest nobility is in subduing your own mind. Rang is same and yongs to say Takasong as Kevin and similar again.
Nobility is shower of the Marve.
No. Nobility is enough. Remember, Takas again, same Yuvadi, Kevin and the short you said, you're but I'm just shuna. No.
Send over the game and choose to whatever.
No. Because I'm just trying to find out whether in the Tibetan text somewhere, or what would be, because I don't have the Tibetan text, what was the original word. So I'm just trying to explain to him, is there such thing as where we use the word, the highest nobility, the word I use as a virtue, is subduing your own mind. Is there such statement somewhere? And Geshe says, yeah, there are. Like we say, subduing one's own mind is, perhaps we might say, the highest or the best virtue in some sense.
So shawa kandikine, game making shawa kandikine, same to Yunguris. Same thing I wouldn't do in. That would do in any so any symptom, give a shower shoulder, to give a shower shoulder, so
what I was explaining to you before was that if we subdue our mind, let's say we bring about positive transformation in our mind, then almost all the actions that follow, physical and verbal actions, will accordingly become positive. So in that sense, our actions become noble in that sense. Whatever we do, we're not going to do anything negative, anything destructive, because of our positive state of mind. So things we think about, things we say, things we do, all will be noble in that sense.
Now come.
Yes, please. Yeah.
I was reading the Lamrim and I got very upset or confused because we're always being taught that all sentient beings are the same. We shouldn't have any distinction between enemies, friends, etc.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah.
And that's our goal.
Yeah.
And yet, if you touch the hair of an arhat and hurt it, you suffer horrendous punishments and eternal hells. And if you kill your father, it's so much worse than killing, your enemy. And how can that equality? How can all things be equal if the punishment is so much more different?
Sure. Okay. Kurang lamrim logic on liya. Dilesh di moran jisem na la kalso ula that is mating rushungs kalso the kala charging is the kala ya simjen thamje liya thanye problem yewa me bese ni chipar syong ko several again thanye pachigyo mares nya charging is the kala pena thachombogi ane la kalso da thachombogi uda yin jis to the pigal nimi sam di ko chachom shibres bank baba sevina 한 지단 밑규마 세블에 디고 잡치고서 이제 초진의 시대 지관 인베절은 양 초진의 시대 비게 카가 인데게 시 저런디 한데는 소올게 다디 도당
배는 미는 딘치중도 왔어 라는 딘치중도 왔어 생기대 지와라 왔어 알레지게다
I think the way we should understand that is generally speaking, let's say they are in respect to all human beings are same. But then in terms of people who have been extremely kind to you and those who have not been that kind or not kind at all, so at that level we can also differentiate people, right, who have been very kind to you and who are not.
rāng kati chīyūng guṇ chīgī, sēngjīgī nāni kati chīyūng guṇ chīgī yinā, rāng thāma shēba tī tā kati chīyū chāgu yā rēs. Tā yinā shitāni sēngjī tāngi rāng thāma shīgā tī yinā tsē ndī, tsē tētā tī yinā thāma shēba tī yinā sūsū sō kēbi yinā, tī sā pē rāng kati chīyū tī pā sūsū so
the thing is that the one who has been most kind to you, whether that's your mom or dad or whoever the case may be, from that point of view, because of how much they have benefited your kindness, so the negativity we do, because that's what we're talking about, right? If you kill your mom or dad or something, then that is more negative than killing, another, stranger who is also a human being. Because in terms of the kindness, because of the so much benefit they have provided to us, so if we do something negative, it almost becomes too ungrateful, and the intensity of the negativity is greater.
That direct number the Shabbat, the Shabbat, you think Chan, you think Chan is, you think Toba Chibin, tell another Shabin, around the subject you go.
And in relation to the Arahats, or those who are realized beings, when we do something negative to them, why that becomes much more serious negativity than doing the same negative thing to any other XYZ person who are not Arahats, is because, again, the negativity we do becomes more intense because of their realizations. They are such a holy and realized being that the negativity we create in relation to them, the intensity picks up. Due to who they are, as a realized being. So it's like, if you kill a holy man, that's more negative than you killing, just an ordinary person.
That Shanju Sembake, Sage Tamji Kurus Kuguris. Shanju Sembake knows in a drum in a penny about subject human. God is the Soci Masati Pagin Roman Chaguris.
And also maybe I think this example might perhaps come easier to you, that if you kill a bodhisattva, who is a true bodhisattva, that is so negative as compared to killing just an ordinary person who is not a bodhisattva, because bodhisattva benefits sentient beings so much, they care about. So if we destroy this one person, then that is negatively affecting all these millions or whatever countless people who are being benefited this one person. So that negativity becomes very intense. That's easier, right? To understand, see. Yes.
다 마산테게 게 공게 마산테 다 부고 망보신도 신 사망보 지회나 다 콜을 세고 땡게다 때 맵즈에게나 다때 콜때.
So the example Geshe gives is like, you just kill the bread earner of the family, mom or dad. Now the whole family suffers because nobody, knows how to make a living. That's what it is. It's affecting so many people, or the beings.
That is.
In a tiny moment. Okay.
How does one, you say the mind has to think positive things to have a positive life. But what about a mentally ill person? It's hard for their mind. Most mentally ill people think negative. How do you help that person?
How do you?
How can you help their
okay.
Like on a daily basis?
Sure. Okay. Essentially. Pena taking on the same the Kiwalia never show the Kiwacha of Sungo. The Jidang as a sense of sympathy that what I didn't say to Yorwa. That's same never Mangushun with one. The get Kadin among the dead Marumba could watch my consola, that's a pentabro culture. Consistent the Kivan and Netugo Marwa, pentabro culture, rest and
consulate that she is in a social entity. The Yogu Junior that the Chick Samson Shia that the Nick Tone the Shani, Matoyeta,
Simkeval says,
Sengal Neseke, the Netoya Marina, Sanjik Tengan of the Konzu novel time of the Nishaman and Pentacam.
In this case, all the spirituality that we cultivate maybe should come handy in the sense that we are being more patient and more caring for the person, how much difficulties we go through. But it's very difficult to sit. If we are thinking in terms of how can we benefit this person mentally or try to affect some positive change, maybe that's very difficult, depending upon their situation and their seriousness.
Sanjay dan the league Tinland of Giva the Delishabian, that shows some pension, since I'm going to the
So having said that, so we may not be able to help with such a mentally disabled person, depending on the seriousness of their, mental disability, to bring some positive changes in their mind. But maybe our spirituality should help us and become handy in terms of how much we put up with this person and care for this person, never give up. And also, Geshe suggests that maybe if we recite mantras or do something positive, these positive things could leave positive imprints on their mind. Well, because nobody is disabled for many lifetimes. In this life, maybe they are the disabled one, because next life, who knows, right? So in the next life, these positive imprints in their mind could be activated, by their own actions, and then they could progress. So we still, keep on doing something positive, saying something positive to them. Okay, yeah. Yes, please.
So say you have a friend or a person that creates negative emotions in you when you're around them. Makes you feel irritated or angry or impatient. Would you say it's better to not be around that person at all if you have that choice, or to look at it as thank you, opportunity to work on your patience and your practice, or just to eliminate that source of suffering?
Okay. Geshe said he understood what you're saying, so we'll save time. Okay.
Patience, because to Zaba Gomni. Zaba Gomni, Susu any Pegata, Pento Shiaka, Gage Pen Togun to Sana, Gage Hiata, Delicious Chaguris. That the little Pento Maviki, China, this was Zaba Gom, Lent and Malova Shizuka Sevi, the Telemalova Shen, and Tishinayaguris.
Geshe thinks that, it depends upon this other person, that of course we need to have a lot of patience to deal with this person. And if for some reason you see the possibility that through your interaction, your communication, and setting the example, if you could affect a positive change in this person a little bit, then it's good to have an interaction going on, right? Rather than avoiding this person completely. But if for some reason you don't see a chance at all, this is really affecting in any way this person after a good period of time, then maybe I think only thing is we just focus on our own sense of patience. We don't lose our patience and virtues, good qualities. So we might stay kind of keep a distance, from the person. So it depends, on those factors. Of course, because we need to really be a good example for that person. We can't lose our temper and retaliate against the person, and that's not going to help in any way. But at the same time, we don't want to lose our, sort of a sense and sensibility and our good things, but trying to help the other person. If this is really not working at all for some practical reason, then we have to be, honest and think, trying to protect our own practice and so that we don't get negatively affected by that person. Instead of helping the person, now, we get changed in a negative way. We don't want that either. Hello, yes.
Hi. Along with analyzing, along with meditation, this is about emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
It can get very dense. I was wondering if there's any other thoughts or other techniques, or other thoughts and techniques, any thoughts Geshe has on integrating that daily.
Oh, you mean the view of emptiness into life? Okay.
Along with the analyzing, of course, and the
Okay, sure. Okay. Then the Quran condition the in the cheba chair that was the Tomani call again. Some of the Shiragi coaching Konyo with and the Ganashi Sabushi Chargus. Then Namju music here there de Nalia, that and the Tomani Codenova, so it's Mizinalia, the care at all, and the Kaluna, or was the Tomani Temper down the cheba chair temperature.
Yours. No. Maranjo make it Toyata, Anjo Goyata, Ronyoyata, Jitsoyata, Arjale, Chamalo, Gutone, Tombani, Jevashin.
As a matter of fact, that whatever we do in our everyday life, because basically we are dealing with 5 sensual objects, right? We see things, we hear things, we taste stuff, and all of the things. So all these objects, sensual objects, could be analyzed, and we can bring the view of emptiness into this. Yeah.
That tend to make Zu Toyata, Nayada Koyata, the Samalo, those Chenchani, could you the chain turning? You go the Santongs.
So as we experience these essential objects, we need to remind ourselves that all these things are happening as a result of interaction between causes and conditions. Nothing is really, coming on its own, or objectively, because things have been brought about by so many other factors and conditions that are interacting with each other, and that's how things are produced. The things we hear, things we see, things we taste, things we touch, whatever, all of that.
So Jitin ten Shungo at the Santong
So as we kind of analyze that how things have been brought about by causes and conditions, interaction, then we know that, there isn't anything in this which exists independently in and of itself. Things are, dependent upon many other factors. So that's why relativity plays out here. Nothing is fixed and static and independent, in and of itself.
Everything. And it's a conquer the Jujit Dendritan, Turbata, Chabata, the 20 June, 10 Joes, the real Majapajani, Chukankan Yamas.
So as a matter of fact, nothing exists in and of itself because all phenomena are dependently existent. Either they are dependent upon other causes and conditions, or they are related to one another. You see, there's that relativity connection with other. There isn't anything that is, independent, in and of itself.
Puguchok Zemotseata, Bibi struggle Pumuchol Tayata, Floater Dronking, Flotu Chota, Flojo Tankenta. Subject to that Canadian Legacy that Tamalukan, Kari Inako, Rangish to Batan Maber, because go 30 and the Jujina Temi, Shundiris.
So Geshe was saying that in everything that we face in our life and everything we encounter in everyday life, everything is dependently arisen, related with something else. And as you heard Geshe use the words babysitter and babies, and that itself is dependent, right? The babysitters, and the babies that they take care of, and whatever the things they're teaching the babies, and the material or the subject or the toys they play with, everything that we'll find within this conditioned existence. They exist, depending upon other causes and conditions. So the point I'm trying to make here is, doesn't matter whatever we're doing, standing, sitting, sleeping, walking, eating, talking, everything we can think about, analyze, and understand about emptiness, because everything is a product of so many causes and conditions and related with other stuff. Another important thing that we always try to cultivate awareness of is the impermanence, right? How things are transitory or impermanent. But then when we compare impermanence with emptiness, there's a big difference, because we will not find impermanence on every phenomenon, okay? Whereas we find emptiness on every phenomenon. Everything that exists ultimately is empty of inherent existence, but everything that exists is not impermanent, So when we talk about phenomena which are defined as object of knowledge, sheja in Tibetan, they can be broadly be categorized into two types. One we called produced phenomena or impermanent phenomena, and then we have the unproduced phenomena or permanent phenomena. Okay. Maybe that will do. Last one. Okay, last, yeah.
Yes, I have a question, and it may seem quite silly, but is it unreasonable to want a child to example, sit still, or even to be able to follow directions when you tend to be reasonable and level-headed, but they have the other parent has another ruling for the child. So, and the product is an unruly child. How does one help his child to be on the right path?
Okay. Quran can show that this is the one. Pena buku chongda war again. So the buku pena chongda the tangbo which the karine chi kuma mago the tangbo chongda. In it, I buku the mission like the rowa. I shamba then take pena pama in a karine buyan kuma gune kuchu ji che de na rowa. And buku the sangbo lamlia chi yongda the rokan de chegors. 你想大给但开始的什么了？给年边女的教育呢？不过的说上过吃的开始什么了？
所以不过的是呗。
Are you talking about like he say one's own child that you try to raise it very, how should I say, positive way, but then the child goes, of course, into the society and they interact with other parents and stuff, then they learn something negative and how to bring that child into positive way, that's what we're talking about?
The other parent. The other parent.
Within the same family. One parent has one.
Oh, one father, yes, okay. Okay, that's a tug of war. Baba amani garba chigi sangbo ji kyongda che garba chigi ngebe chul chidi garda pugu de kande che sangbo ji kyongda baba amani thakden ji garwa
the football judge amaraste.
I think they shouldn't play the tug of war, with that.
That there is that koni bugul ke amaras phamani bude santangres keji chegres pas kejan chegres.
Geshe thinks in this case it's the time for the mom and dad to talk with each other, because the child has nothing to do with this, because the adults should figure it out,
Dikshoni yagu dikyeger dikshoni ninga kodu yorwa ta phamani bude chene pena ali tambu no segena ane sosu lungbage 다 팀다 튕고 있는 분들이 고라니 민이 그전에 니 해바데 가리 해바데 틈다 틈나 딜은 로그레스 아니 뜻이
So Geshe says, because the child hear both stuff, right? Mom or the dad either says good thing, and the mom or the dad either says bad thing. So that's, child hears both sides. So the two adults, I just use the mom and dad because it could be anybody. Two adults who are taking care of the child need to talk, communicate, and resolve, right? They each should try to justify what they are teaching the child. Why is that the case? Is that in accordance with the rules and regulations or the ethics and all the stuff? Yeah.
What about when they're divorced and when they're talking in that fashion?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the Sazam Pakhaye Sanchidu and the Kaburshoros and the Hajin Kalish Wars.
The Dembaris in Pugut and the Sunya.
Yeah, I understand that, difficult situations. The parents or the adults are divorced and, but who the child is staying with, maybe that person, has, I think he has more sort of responsibility to bring the child properly.
They have so there's a book, there's a close percent, never child. So that they have English.
Geshe feels that whoever is raising the child in the divorced case, now because of the intimacy you have developed and the closeness you have developed with the child, maybe what you say might impact more with the child, whoever that person is,
But the man, Lam logo thing is a do trim then gay, Google and those Tama Tanguris, Chan Tunguris, and the Losia Kacham Maris at the Hegudona. That the Hegi, Thomasin at the Hegu at the inner, Pame Pamata grandparent here. Consul Kachevers. Those in that Tim the Tung do a country, Tamatin Chantung Dushina, and so any treating the Negu to us. The Google Hoso Magina and the Google Dotan Yang Mundo was church, Casset, Clasia, Sadis and Thomas the Sani, and consume missing Dotante, Yabu Woman do us. That and to translate Lavish language.
So I think if two adults are not really communicating with each other, I think the point Geshe is trying to make is we need to bring the third independent body, and that could be grandparents. If the other person who is giving the wrong advice to the child, and some example Geshe says you do the drugs and you do the whatever the things creative stuff, and you try to talk to the other person and this is not working out, maybe it's the time to talk to his or her grandparents or the parents who have so much influence on this person. So we need to bring the third independent body to intervene in this case. So basically, in your face-to-face what we call encounter, so each of the two people have the layout what they have been teaching the child. You have been teaching all this yucky stuff and what the heck reason he or she has. Why you say do the drugs and I'm not going to say other stuff. Okay. And that person has to provide the rationale why that's a good thing to teach the child, and then you just provide your rationale why you are trying to bring the child in the way you think it is a good way to bring, Well, I see it is not easy, there is no easy way out, but what else are left with us? We have to just find a way, whatever way we could, to talk and to communicate and to bring the third person and, do whatever we can. Okay, so I think maybe this is Geshe's advice concerning that, because what Geshe feels is like in the case of parents divorce, each of them should not badmouth about the other to their children. You should not poison the ear of the child. Your mom or your dad is don't just poison the ear of the child. That's really bad.
That's it. That tempo you much kaje. Bugula Samsung Yabata, Bugula Flozon Yabata, Ganga Chambo, you tempo you
So ultimately it's the responsibility of the both parents, to give good education to that child. They are divorced, okay, that's their issue, but, have still the responsibility to educate the child well and to think about the well-being of the child, So both parents really need to put their heads together in that regard.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to stop there again. Should hold for a second. I have some announcements to make and then have a prayer request for one person. First announcements. Let me see, where are we right now? Wednesday, November 23rd. So November is over? Okay.
November 14th.
Oh, come from November 14th. All right. Thank you. November 14th, Monday. Tomorrow, Geshe is giving refuge vows in the evening, 7:30. That means people who have never taken refuge vows, and if you would like to, right, you make your decision and would like to participate in that, so you're welcome. Tomorrow evening, 7:30, Geshe will be giving refuge vows to new students and who want to, it says, renew their vows, if you have broken your vows. All right. November, okay, so I don't have to worry about do I need to worry about 23rd November? Okay, skip that part. December 9, Friday, is the introduction to fasting retreat. Depending on what is Nyungne. Nyungne is to fast. Okay, it's a fasting retreat practice. Many of you might have done it. December 9, Friday evening, 7:30, Geshe will give an introduction, and this should be good for new students, who don't know what the heck is Nyungne or Mangne, whatever that thing is hearing. So Geshe will explain what is involved in that, and that will be very nice. And then Saturday, the next day, December 10th, Nyungne retreat, the fasting retreat, it begins at 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, that means before the sun day breaks, Geshe has to give Mahayana precepts and like that. So you have to be here at 6 in the morning. It's a whole day practice. You will be going home only in the evening. I'm just adding this stuff here. For new people, otherwise you think it's only 2 hours. No, you're just here for the whole day. And then December 11, which is Sunday. Again, it's the second day of the Nyungne retreat. You will come at the same time, 6 in the morning. It's the whole day practice. Okay. And then December 12, Monday, will be the conclusion of the Nyungne practice. So in the morning, you will meet here at 6. You do one session of practice, and then Geshe will release the vows, and then, that's the conclusion of the Nyungne practice. Okay, so Nyungne is a fasting retreat, and it's related with Buddha of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara, or Chenre Sikh. Okay, so the dates are Friday, December 9, introduction at 7:30. December 10 and 11, Saturday and Sunday, meet at 6 here, whole day practice. December 12, Monday morning, meet here at 6, do one session of practice, release the vows, and probably we will have a light breakfast here, I assume. If not, just you can call Santa Barbara. I'll send some pizzas for you. And that will be the end of the retreat. Okay, and then a prayer request. One of our students, Grandma Tenzin Dorjee, died in Vietnam, so has requested prayer for her.
Yes. Chadong Gole Jabo Tong Jadong Kaba Zambu Sanje Tong Kana Kande Dela Suma Jere Zana Chatse Lo Mane Peme Hum Mane Peme 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 确实小朋友呢，群里小娃子真能做不到。你等下看着在演的，没特别个说着在演的，听清了说着的没很重要。
By the power of our collective merit, may Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness, flourish throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great realized and holy masters live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual goals. May this and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. Last but not least, we dedicate our collective positive energy for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration: obscuration to nirvana or liberation, obscuration to omniscient state, and may we all reach complete enlightened state quickly. I think you will find this information on the website under the calendar, okay? TDL website, I mean.